Good morning, grade 11. For the continuation ng lesson natin for the understanding data and ways to systematically collect data. So, iyon yung pinaka-highlight ng lesson natin. So, under niya, yung ating lesson is the description of sampling and data collection. So, saan po ba pumapasok itong description of sampling and data collection? So, ito po ay under ng chapter 4, which is the presentation and interpretation of data. So, nandito na ang sakop niya is yung respondents, yung mga results, outcome, feedback ng inyong research study. Okay, so data collection is very important in the aspect of research. So, researchers should choose the proper sampling method to answer what was asked in the research problem. So, it is based on what is your statement of the problem or your SOP, yung tinatawag natin. So, depende yung questions ninyo sa SOP ay magiging depende rin sa data collection or yung anong klaseng data collection ang gagamitin ninyo. Okay? So, mahalaga to kasi hindi lang basta nagpa-survey kayo, okay na. So, dapat meron kayong basis na tinatawag. So, according to Alicia Tuovilla, year 2020, so latest ito, sampling is a process used in statistical analysis in which a predetermined number of observations taken in larger populations. The methodology used to sample from a larger population depends on the type of analysis being performed. So, this is according to Alicia year 2020. So, dinefine niya what is sampling. So, ito po ay for the statistical. So, ginagamit ito is to get the yung results or yung performance ng iyong research study. So, we have two types of sampling. So, sampling methods ang tawag sa kanila. So, what are those? So, first is the probability sampling. So, siya yung una. The next one is the non-probability. Pero, here, sa probability sampling, meron siyang different kinds of sampling na pwede ninyong gamitin in your research study. But first, we define what is probability sampling. So, it's a sampling technique in which sample from a larger population are chosen using a method based on the theory of probability. So, sampling technique. So, larger. So, if your respondents is larger, kumbaga, marami kayong kailangan na respondents, so you need to choose probability sampling. Kasi, malakihang respondents ang kailangan dito. So, the respondents is depend on what is the needed of for your research study. So, depende yan. So, for instance, a population of 1,000 members, each of these members will have 1 out of 1,000 chances of being selected to be a part of a sample. It gets description of sampling and data collection. So, lesson 2, George put some cards into a basket, then he drew 3 cards out from the basket. So, is this a random sample of the cards in the basket? Why or why not read off a bias in the population and gives a fair chance to all members to be included in the sample. So, ang tinutukoy dyan is, if you have a 1,000 members, so lahat sila ay may chance to be one of your respondents. Kasi po, ang ginagamit dito is, sabi dito, merong basket, and then, all the names of the participants or being one of the respondents is nandun sa basket. And then, bunot ka, and then, kumbaga, lahat ay pupwede. So, ito po ay fair kasi walang bias. Hindi ka namili or hindi ka nag-pinpoint na ikaw yung magiging respondents ko. But, ang ginawa mo is to choose from the basket. So, out of the basket, so, bumunot ka doon. And then, ang tawag sa kanya is random sample of the cards in the basket. Ibig sabihin, nag-randomly ka. Hindi ka nag-pinpoint or hindi ka nagsabi na ikaw yung respondents ko. Kundi, to be fair to everyone, so, bumunot ka without knowing or without asking of further permission. Okay? So, yun yung tinatawag na probability sampling. So, we have, under of probability, we have the simple random sampling. So, it is a method of collecting data where every single member of a population is chosen randomly, merely by chance, and each individual has the exact same probability of being chosen to be a part of a sample. So, simple random method lang ito. Kumbaga, lahat ay may chance at ang bawat isa ay pwedeng maging respondents ninyo. Simple random sampling. So, yun siya. B is a cluster sampling, a method where the researchers divide the entire population into sections or cluster. Okay, so cluster sampling, a method where the researchers divide the entire population into sections or cluster that represent a population cluster. Clusters are identified and included in a sample on the basis of defining demographic parameters such as age, location, sex, and etc. So, in cluster, of course, if you have, kung malaki yung population or kung larger yung population, so, i-divide nyo yun, and then, pwede kang mamili kung anong cluster lang yung kukunin mo. So, dito, hinati mo muna sila. If the population is about 1,000, so i-divide mo sila by 5. So, meron silang take to 200 per cluster. And then, yun yung tinatawag. Then, you have to choose between A to E. Is this A cluster, B cluster? So, yun yung cluster sampling na tinatawag. C is the systematic sampling, a method where members of a sample are chosen at regular intervals of a population. It requires selection of a starting point for the sample and sample size that can be repeated at regular intervals. So this type of sampling method has a predefined interval and hence this sampling. So systematic. Naka-systematic, naka-organize siya, nakaayos siya. Yun yung tinatawag na systematic. Kumbaga, may sample and sample size na pwede natin kuhanin for our research study. So, members of a sample are chosen, pinili, then regular intervals of a population. So, pwede kayong mamili dito kung sino ba yung pwede ninyo gamiting respondents for your research study. And then, kumbaga, sila yung masigit na may kinalaman or pwedeng magbigay ng opinion or ng sagot sa inyong questions for your research. So, systematic ang tawag doon. Letter D is the stratified random sampling, a method where the population can be divided into smaller groups that don't overlap but represent the entire population together. While sampling, these groups can be organized and then draw a sample from each group separately. So, stratified. So, again, dinidivide nyo ulit. Kung malaki yung population, so pwede nyo i-divide. Then, so, from that particular group, so doon kayo po pwedeng pumili ng inyong respondents. So, stratified naman yon. Then, yung bigger population into smaller groups. Then, doon kayo pipili ng inyong population. Okay? So, the second one is the non-probability sampling. First is the probability, then the second one type of sampling is the non-probability. So, is reliant on a researcher's ability to select members at random. This sampling method is not a fixed or predefined selection process, which makes it difficult for all elements of a population to have equal opportunities to be included in a sample. So, that is the meaning or the definition of non-probability. So, not fixed, yun ang tinatawag sa kanya. And then, hindi masyadong dinidefine kung anong process ang ginamit for your research. Okay, so we have purposeful or purposive sampling is the most common sampling strategy. So in this type of sampling, participants are selected or sought based on pre-selected criteria based on the research. So ito yung tinatawag na, for example, your topic is about having an OFW parent. So, of course, ang kukunin ninyong respondents is yung mga anak ng OFW, kung ano yung feeling nila. So, okay ba na malayo ang nanay nila? So, yun yung tinatawag na purposeful. Ibig sabihin, sila yung may kakayahan to answer the questions of your SOP sa inyong research. So, may purpose kung bakit sila yung respondents. Okay? Halimbawa, example again is about the preparations of the teachers of senior high school in the online distance learning. Of course, your respondents is the teacher. So, purpose yun. Ibig sabihin, sila lang yung may chance. Kumbaga, sila yung makakasagot ng mga tanong ninyo. Kasi sila yung higit na nakakaalam. So, purposive sampling. So, for example, the study may be attempting to collect data from lymphoma patients in a particular city or country. The sample size may be predetermined or based on theoretical saturation, which is the point at which the newly collected data no longer provides additional insights. So, sila yung may knowledge to help your research, diba? So, kasi sila yung kailangan at sila yung tinutukoy dun sa topic mo. B is the quota sampling. So, is a sampling technique whereby participant quotas are present prior to the sampling. Typically, the researcher is attempting to gather data from a certain number of participants that meet certain characteristics that may include things such as age, sex, class, marital status, HIV status, and etc. So, quota sampling, of course, may specific number ka lang ng participants for your research. Kung na-meet mo naman na yung hinahanap mo for your research, of course, na-quota mo na. For example, meron kang topic, and then yung topic mo ay naghahanap ng mga estudyante. The respondents is the students. And then, lumalabas dun sa result nila, meron nag-answer na, let's say, 10 persons. And then, dun sa 10 persons na yon ay mostly the same answers. So, nakota mo na. Ibig sabihin, nakuha mo na yung hinahanap mo. So, stop ka na. Kasi, dun sa 10 na yon, alos lahat sila pare-parehas. So, yun yung tinatawag na quota sampling. Okay? For example, a cigarette company wants to find out what age group prefers what brand of cigarettes in a particular city. So, gusto nilang malaman ano bang brand of cigarette yung mas kinikilala dun sa isang lugar na yon. So, he or she applies quotas on the age of groups of 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and then 51 and up. So, from this information, the researchers gauged the smoking trend among the population of the city. So, meron kang particular na age. For example, between sa age 21 to 30, ito ang sinasabi. 31 to 40, ito naman ang sinasabi. So, quota ka, ibig sabihin, dun sa age gap na yon, meron kang nakukuha ng result. So, nalalaman mo na yung different interval. So, ito po is about the age group. So, po pwede rin naman for the sex, male and female. So, po pwede naman yon. Letter C, snowball sampling is also known as chain referral sampling. In this method, the participants refer the researchers to others who may be able to potentially contribute or participate in the study. So this method often helps researchers find and recruit participants that may otherwise be hard to reach. So snowball sampling, again, chain referral sampling. So, ito yung nagre-refer ka. For example, kinuha mo ako as your respondents. And then, nakita ko in your study na may kakilala ko na pwedeng magbigay pa ng information or pwedeng mag-answer din sa question mo. So, pwede ako mag-refer. Let's say, pwede kong sabihin na si ganito, itong tao na to, pasagutin mo kasi mas fit siya dun sa hinahanap mo for your research. Mas makakasagot siya, mas makakapagbigay siya ng information. So, snowball, ito yung chain referral. Ibig sabihin, nag-refer ako, and then yung ni-refer ko, pwede din naman siya mag-refer para maging participants dun sa research study mo. So, yun yung tinatawag na snowball sampling. Okay? Ayan. So, konti lang pala sila. So, again, what are the types of sampling? First is the probability sampling. The second one is the non-probability. So, alam niyo na yung difference nila. And by the time na mag-research kayo is ma-identify nyo kung anong klaseng methods or sampling methods ang gagamitin ninyo. And then, if meron na kayong nakuha na mag-reflect sa research study ninyo, of course, ilalagay nyo yan sa inyong chapter 3. Kumbaga, ilalahad nyo yan, i-statement nyo yan na ito yung gagamitin ninyong instrumentation. Okay? So, lahat yan ay nakapaloob sa inyong chapter 3 and then i-apply nyo yan sa inyong chapter 4. And I hope you really understand, and if naguguluhan man kayo, chat nyo lang ako or mag-PM kayo sa akin direct para mas lalo ninyong maintindihan kung naguguluhan man kayo. So, I hope magagamit nyo talaga to kasi ito talaga gagamitin nyo para mas maging okay ang research study niyo. So, that's all. Thank you and thank you for listening, and I hope pinapanood nyo talaga at pinakikinggan nyo to kasi magagamit nyo to pag nag-research na kayo. So, goodbye and God bless you.